So I have I'm excited about today's class. I have interesting things planned. So I will tell you about that in a second. Today's class, what we're going to need is our yoga block or a small couch pillow, something like that. Yoga mat if you have. And we will use a chair, the chair here. And we're going to be putting our legs up on something which can be your chair. I happen to have this block with a pad. So we've got some different options here. Early on, there'll be one exercise where we're putting our foot on the chair. And if it seems too high, you can use your yoga block, or if for some reason there's some little footstool around, that might be something else you could grab. Okay, so we are going to start standing at the wall with our back against the wall with no props or anything. And then I'm gonna explain what the plan is. Okay, let's do a little check-in first. Let's stand, close our eyes, and notice where the weight is in your feet. Is it more right to left? Is it more front to back? Just kind of take a notice of that. I'm just checking in to see where I'm at. So we can kind of see what changes through class. Okay, so now when we put our back against the wall, we are going to put our feet parallel. If they're parallel by the outsides of your feet. So it is okay to feel a little pigeon-toed. I don't want you to force your head on the wall. I do want you to kind of check how far is your head away from the wall. Maybe check in what's touching the wall in terms of like, I feel my buttocks touching. I don't feel my calves touching, my heels are. And sort of in your upper back. And notice, is one side touching more than the other, and just kind of notice your where things are at to start. And so I don't want you forcing your head on the wall. I kind of want your chin level. So right now for me, I kind of, based on all the sitting work I've done in the last 24 hours, I'd say a little more alignment and my head's going to touch a little easier. Okay, so what is today's class about? The first portion is probably going to take us about halfway through class. We are doing something called a metabolic warm-up. So Pete Egoscue is the one who created the Egoscue method, and he has a lot of great books. So he has one that is more focused on women. And in this book, he has a routine that is considered a metabolic warm-up. So right now we're doing our thing. We're standing against the wall. This is part of the warm-up, is just practicing loading our joints on top of each other using the wall. If you didn't have a wall, you could be just standing in the middle of a room. So the premise of this is that this metabolic warm-up is designed because we are often disengaged and dysfunctional in our musculoskeletal system, which in today's world, when he wrote this book, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, there was one level, but I'd say 15 years later, there's so much more digital stuff. We're probably even more disengaged than we might have been doing less physical activity. So the arrangement of this sort of menu of exercises that we're doing should leave you wanting more physical activity. That's the idea. And so a sign of increased metabolism is a desire to move. So remember, the more you move, the more you can move. So what I did was I then took the second half of class and I kind of am focused on a little bit more of a moving. So we're going to kind of test this out together and see how we feel. That's what today's class is about. I'm kind of excited about that because I love sort of science experimenting this stuff and seeing what happens and seeing what I feel, what others feel. When you're doing the Egoscue method, this is very much what it's about, is you're doing something and you're seeing how the body responds to it. And sometimes it goes the way you think it will, and sometimes it doesn't. But most of what we're doing is very benign. So therefore, we can kind of easily correct anything that doesn't feel right, because we're always listening to our body. We're not doing anything that hurts. So there's no exercise you should be doing when you're in my class that causes pain. If it does cause pain, then it's not right for you. It's one thing to feel working hard. It's another thing to feel a cramping sensation, but real pain's definitely not the right thing to do. So remember, even though I've set this menu out, you're going to modify things if they don't work for you. And so I'll give you options as we go. Standing at the wall like this is always a place to come back to. Shoulder blade squeezes or knee pillow squeezes are good substitutes for things. Okay, I'm peeking at our time. Okay, we're ready to move on to the next one. So we've done this in the past, but just not as early in the class. So we are going to be putting our foot on something. I'm going to show you your options. So my heel will be against the wall and my foot is on the block. Now, I have options with mine. So I'm trying not to have my hip too high. So this is why, if you are not that tall, a chair may be too high for you. And that's where, if you happen to have your yoga block, you can modify with just this. This is probably better than being too high, because that may make you want to change your hips. So, and that's why I say step stool or something, or a little box if you have nearby, a little footstool. Okay, so we are now making sure that the leg is against the wall. And if you, for some reason, didn't have wall space where you're at, you could put a chair next to you and do this without a wall, and maybe do some holding onto the chair for balance to keep you more even. I'm pressing down through my big toe, if that's possible, again, depending on your block. I want to be mindful that I'm not moving my hips funny. This is the thing that also happens. Sometimes we jut this down leg out, so we want to be very active there. And then again, I'm not forcing my head on the wall. And so this will help level our hips under vertical load and alignment. So I kind of, this warm-up menu, I'm giving you kind of a little description of what are we trying to gain as we do this particular menu, because we wouldn't think standing at the wall like this, these aren't super exciting exercises, but they really, our body's responding to what's happening. So subtle things are happening like this. I already feel my leg really kicking in. So the first one was obviously not very hard or taxing. However, body was very much responding to things. But now I do feel the work in my leg. We're aiming for about 2 to 3 minutes aside here. And that allows the stability muscles to really kick in. And again, be mindful, did your foot want to turn out to the side? That's a common thing to happen. Again, with so many people, it's okay to feel pigeon-toed. So if you're somebody that your legs tend to turn out to begin with, when you put your foot straight with your foot parallel, it's likely that you'll have that pigeon-toed sensation. If you're someone who turns in, I don't think that's the sensation you will feel. And okay, so happy Sunday. Let's see. I celebrated a big birthday last weekend. We're not going to say which big birthday, but it's one of the decades. I'll let you guess. Anyways, so just lots of family celebrations. Being that it's post-COVID, and no big party or anything, kept things on the smaller side, just for my comfort. And but I really enjoyed it, and I actually had my family together as a 4, and with my kids and their sleepaway camps, I don't think my family of 4 has been together on my birthday, which is coming into, fully into summer. We haven't all 4 been together on my birthday in many years, so it's actually super nice. And so that is where we're at. We're almost done with this side. You are likely feeling some burning. Now, I didn't really talk about modifications here. And so we're gonna talk about that as we switch sides. Any exercise that we do, if you feel like you've had enough, you can come out of it in a minute, 2 minutes. Before we end, you can come out of it. And again, this one could be just the standing at the wall. You could be doing sitting knee pillow squeezes. I'm pressing down with my big toe, kind of keeping an eye on our time. My foot that's back by the wall, remember, foot is parallel. I'm watching, is this hip jutting out? I'm pressing it in. And pressing down on that big toe. So, let's see. Let's talk about what I have been posting about. Let's see, we haven't had a class in 2 weeks because it was Father's Day last weekend. So I generally share my birthday with a Father's Day. And so let's go back through some things I've posted. And I've definitely been sharing that I have this work from home survival kit, which is some modifications for sitting at a desk at a computer or laptop, or sitting at a desk on your phone, whatever your digital device is, and some adjustments to make, and then a do-it-yourself standing desk, and then some prevention for tech neck. So how people get this is they go to my website, there's different places to click, and then you put in an email and that's how you get it sent to you. So I've made some fun little posts about that, because the idea of this is about if you tend to sit at the same place over and over and don't do a lot of change in movement or sit upright, you are going to be more likely to have tension, fatigue, not feel as productive. So that's sort of the premise. A lot of you have heard this from my class, but sort of trying to put it out in little chunks of pieces. Hopefully you're feeling some work in this hip now. And again, be mindful if you need to stop. We are almost done. But so then I posted a funny, there's something about Amazon boxes in there. So there was a funny post about Amazon boxes. So that kind of is a tidbit related to the tips. Okay, we're going to come out of this. And we are going to go to wall presses, which is next. So I'm just going to move my stuff out of the way. So we're back to our wall, and we're going to work on repositioning our shoulders. If for some reason you don't have a wall, you can stand and you can do shoulder blade squeezes instead. So that would be just drawing your shoulders together, which again is a great modification for things if it's not feeling right. So when I am standing with the wall, and either way, your feet are parallel again, and they are hip width. And hip width is center of the hip down. So don't think of the outsides of your feet. So it's not quite as wide as you would think. And so once we're here, again, we're not forcing our head in the wall. I do find mine's already hitting the wall a little easier. And so we are going to put our hands against the wall like so, with our palms facing back. And then we're gonna press and squeeze our shoulder blades together. So you're sort of engaging everything into the wall, a little shoulder blade. So in the back, the shoulder blades are doing this, but you're also kind of just pressing into the wall. So there's more happening here than just a regular shoulder blade squeeze. If you have a shoulder issue and it's bothering you, just put your arms down and do shoulder blade squeezes. And we're doing about 10 or so of these, and then we're going to drop our head and do this. Again, any neck issues and that doesn't feel good to you, then just keep your head up in neutral. So same thing. So I'm kind of pressing with my hands, but I'm engaging with my back. My shoulder blades are squeezing a bit. So there's a lot happening in my arms, my upper back. I definitely feel work. I feel a little work in my calves also, just from sort of being close to the wall. I think that might depend on our bodies. So I'm not sure that's the same sensation you will feel. Okay, we're gonna switch this now so your head comes back up. We're gonna do it a second time, but this time palms are facing out. So, and again, be mindful like that you're not just dropping active hands. My fingers are separated. My hands are on the wall, the backs. And so now I am pressing backwards. So it's like this motion, but we're not moving. You can see it's more just what we call isometric, where the muscles are kind of pressing into something that's not movable, but the muscles are engaging. And my shoulder blades are squeezing. And we're just trying to reposition the shoulders. And so now we're going to do the same thing and drop our head. Again, shoulder issues, you're going to lower the arms and do shoulder blade squeezes. Neck issues, you're not going to bend your neck forward. If this causes any discomfort or strain, you can be in neutral 2 times through. Okay, I feel like I'm getting some things going through my body. It might be that my air conditioning is not on too high. I'm not sure which it is. Okay, standing arm circles. So we're gonna move more into the middle of your room, not on a wall. You wanna be away from your wall enough when you move your arms in circles that you won't bang your wall. Okay, feet are parallel, hip width. Think about the center of the hip. That's almost even like a fist width at the feet, and my feet are parallel on the outsides. Okay to feel pigeon toe. Now, hands, golfer's grip like this, bend at the first knuckle, thumbs pointed out. It's kind of weird, it's not a fist. Bend to the first knuckle, thumbs pointed out, arms by your sides. Okay, now think about how you're standing. This is a common thing. I have a tendency to go here. So I have to bring myself back up. That's where my body wants to go. Other people might have more of this hip bailing forward. So you are going to think about stacking and loading. Engage those shoulders, arms up, and now we're going forward circles. So the idea of this now as part of our metabolic concept is strengthening the upper back and ball and socket function of the shoulder. So we're getting that kind of active and working. And you can feel some movement, but you're trying to stay stable. And again, shoulder issues, just lower the arms. You could be here if you need to. Again, shoulder rolls, something like that, arms down. If you really have some active shoulder pain, but you still want to be part of the class, because a lot of things we do will be only hip as we go. So you really want to modify so you can get your body feeling its best. Okay, arms down. That was about 30 or 40. Okay, resetting my hands. I'm checking my feet, bending at that first knuckle, thumbs pointed out, arms down, flip the palms. I'm also thinking about how am I loading, stacking up my joints. Arms are up with shoulder blades a little active, and then we're going backwards. I always personally feel a little harder with the backwards, but I will say today, maybe with what we've just done, I'm feeling like the backwards is okay. Piece of hair in the face. Okay, but I want to finish this set. Keep going. Getting our shoulders going. Okay, a few more. All right. Now, the next one we're going to do is we're going to do a standing forward bend. So for my people who have back pain, I'm going to give you an alternative if this doesn't feel right to you. So this is sort of where we're going, is this position. But if you feel like that's not going to be good for you, I want you to clasp your hands and go more just in a nice upright position, which you can raise your arms to wherever they can go and just hold, okay? So that's your alternative. So for standing forward bend, again, feet are parallel and hip width. You're going to put your hands on the small of your back like that. And then we are going to bend forward. As I bend forward, I am rolling my hips forward and I'm sort of looking up. So there's a lot of tension in the work through here, through my upper back. Here doesn't mean anything to you, towards my upper back. But I'm also engaging here, which is helping my pelvis roll over my hips. And I'm holding this for about a minute. So not holding my breath, make sure you're breathing. Tighten your thighs, that helps provide sturdiness. And again, anything with the back, you're just gonna stand with arms up overhead and just load your joints. And I have lately, every so often I have favorite exercises. I would say this is one of my newest favorites for my body, just based on where I've come with my alignment and sort of what I need. And this is helping get some of what I need in my upper back. So that is actually strengthening our back and our hips. So that's very valuable, but if it's not right for you, we wanna modify it. Okay, we're going down to the floor to cats and dogs. Just moving things away. Gonna turn my mat. Getting a sense, and we're gonna go down to cats and dogs, then we will be putting our legs up on a chair or a block. I happen to have this block and this pad, which will make my hips at 90-90. So when you're using a chair, if it doesn't feel right for you, you can always add a nice, neat folded blanket or a pillow, couch cushion, just depends on your height. But let's go ahead and move down. I'm gonna aim. Okay, so with cats and dogs, we are now gonna take with cats and dogs, we're gonna now take our body into spinal flexion and extension. So we're just letting a lot of the areas of the whole area of the spine practice bending and sort of moving the way it's designed to. Okay. Shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. And we are going to sink our belly down, and that's beginning the movement with our pelvis. And then we draw our shoulder blades together and we look up. And then we're going to round the other way. If you've done this before in yoga, I want you to go a little slower with me and make sure you get everything right here. Elbows straight. This is key. The elbows straight and then drawing the shoulder blades together and head up. Now, if you have neck pain, keep your head more neutral. You don't, if it's bothering you, don't move your head as much. If you have wrist issues, you can be on fists. And if it's totally bothering you, you can lie on the floor and bend your knees, and you can just be moving at the pelvis. And we're drawing, as I sink my belly down, I'm drawing my shoulder blades together with elbows straight, head up, and then I'm just rounding everything out. And everybody's body is going to be different in terms of where you feel a little stuck in your movement. Sometimes it's in the pelvis going this way. Sometimes it's in the pelvis going the other direction. And then sometimes it's in the shoulder blades and upper back. And sometimes people have all of that not happening. And if you have troubles really keeping your elbows straight, that's sort of in the shoulders and the upper back not moving as well. And we're doing about 10 or so of these. In alignment, we also are just neutralizing everything. Okay. So let's go down to the floor. you've got your chair. I've got my block, making sure the camera's okay. All right, so arms are out to the side, palms up. We're gonna do some really good breathing here. Oh, we didn't talk about this. Folded towel. If you find when your head is like this, that's when you would put a folded towel. Otherwise, I want you to have no pillow, nothing. But when we are like this, it's very hard for things to release. And so until we can start to release, we support our head, and then slowly, that is a nice goal, is to be able to not need to have a pillow or a towel. And so we're breathing. So we're inhaling and exhaling. Now, key is that we want to put more emphasis on the inhale in the lower body. So my belly goes out. It's also my sides and my back on the inhale. And then exhale it out and sort of sinks back down. So it's like an internal stretch. You might feel different tension in your back. I am keeping an eye on our plan. So, and part of what happens in this position is it really depends on what your spine is doing. If you have a big old curve here, it's going to help relax that and let your back get more to the floor. If when you get into this position and your back is totally flat, sometimes more curve is happening up here, and then that releases and helps create a little bit more of a natural spinal curve. So it's interesting how this position can sort of meet your needs depending on what's happening. So we are breathing here. All right, we are going to add in some arms. We're going to add in our pullovers here. So we're going to clasp our hands together, palms like this, glued together, and then elbows straight. And I'm going to take off my glasses. I actually watched a video, not that I never watch my classes, but sometimes I do. And I felt like when I'm demoing, I might not be getting as straight because I'm talking. So I just have found with my pullovers that my glasses off is a little better, except for I can't read my little cheat sheet board. So I'll have to tell you something else after. Okay, so we are moving in our upper back and our shoulders. And then after this one, we are going to put the yoga block or your pillow behind our head, and we're going to press on it. So I didn't quite say that as you got in this position. So your yoga block or pillow may not be as close to as mine is. So in a second, you will want to grab that. And shoulder issues. This is one of those ones where if you have shoulder pain, you stop where you need to. This is so modifiable. You take what your body gives you. It's not trying to go here to get there. It's just a different exercise. And so we want to focus on where can you go while keeping your elbows straight and your palms together. That's what this, because it changes what's happening in your shoulders and your upper back. Okay, grabbing this. So what this exercise is doing is we're reminding your shoulders that it's not just for hinging, because the shoulder joint has some different functions. So we are going to, I'm going to take those glasses back off, clasp my hands, elbows straight, and we're going to press. Now, if you have shoulder pain, you could, and you have a yoga block, you could go higher. If this is not, you don't have what you need to modify, then I would just bring your arms back and do some shoulder blade squeezes here. Okay, so I'm pressing and releasing. So I'm pressing, and so it's this motion is where the press. It does happen sort of in the upper back, even though it's your thumb that's sort of hitting, there is motion happening upper in here. So, and that's what we are doing. And again, if for some reason this position was starting to bother you, you put your feet on the ground. In many cases, people find this a very relieving position, but it really, it does depend on what dysfunction you have going on. So that's why we like to personalize things as much as possible. Okay. And we're doing somewhere around 20 or so of these. All right. Glasses on. And we are going to move our block away. We're going to straighten out. Let me just see where we're going and what might we need. Okay, we don't need props for the next two, which will take us through the end of the metabolic work. Okay, so we're lying on our floor. You would actually use your towel again if you do find your head is tipping back. That is here. Okay, so foot circles. We leave our legs down, they're hip width apart. We're gonna draw one leg in and we're gonna put our hands underneath the knee. The other leg is straight, kneecap to the ceiling. And we are going to begin outward circles. So we will be doing outward, inward, and point flex. If you need to modify this because you're feel challenged, just do 10 of each. We may do more like 20 or so. It's normal to get some burning work in your shin, but it really just depends on how strong you feel your legs are. So I like to give you your options. And so this is about connecting our knee, ankle, and foot, sort of the design function that they are meant to kind of work together. Our ankle is meant to take in the ground and move different ways to support and adjust to the environment. Make sure this down leg, kneecap to the ceiling. I'm going to go ahead and start my inward circles. And my shin is parallel to the ground. I'm not moving through my knee. I'm moving through my foot and ankle and trying to hit all the directions and all the muscles. And we'll keep going a little more, or you're kind of on your own count. And now we're going to go point, flex, point, flex. I love doing the feet work. It's so valuable for me. I'm somebody who had my feet locked in sneakers a lot to create comfort. I was somebody for a long time, like wearing heels was just not really that comfortable. I do and still enjoy wearing them for parties and stuff. But it wasn't something I needed to do daily, but I kept myself in very supportive sneakers. And now I really have lessened that. And I have my feet doing so much more work, mobility, stability. We're switching the sides. This leg is down, whatever your opposite leg is, kneecap is to the ceiling, so you're not letting it roll out. Hands are underneath the knee, and my shin is parallel to the ground, and then I'm going to begin my outward circles. And just notice the difference between your feet and how much movement they have, which one feels a little stickier in terms of when you go around the circle, which foot feels easier or more coordinated. It's just very interesting how the body responds to the type of stimulus we give each day. And you can kind of pick up on things when you do these exercises and to how your body moves. Kind of gives you some feedback. And that helps us so much in aligning. Okay, we're gonna go back the other way. And so I'm going inside circles, inside circles. I'm watching my down leg, kneecap to the ceiling. It definitely can creep out on us. Just depends. So you're getting some work on that down leg. You're still connecting what's happening. So each leg is working on the exercise just in a different way. Okay, now we're going to go into point flex, and obviously on your second side, hopefully you matched whatever you did. So if you ever have foot and ankle things, I prefer you take your hardest side and you pick your number based on which is more difficult and then match, rather than taking a strong side and sort of over getting it to move and not letting the other side move much. So it's about creating balance and evenness between our sides. Okay, so the last one as part of the metabolic warm-up is the static wall. And this is for bilateral hips to sort of even out and reduce external rotation. Now we will need a wall here. I will give you a sitting version if the if lying like this isn't working for you. So we're gonna put our legs up the wall. And so if for some reason you're not feeling like that's gonna work for you, you could sit this way. If you find you're too tight in your hamstrings, you may need to sit on a pillow or a block. And you can always go back to the static back position with your chair and legs on that if this is not working for you. Now, I want to see if my camera is going to make this work. Yes. Okay, so getting into this, if you're near a wall, it's easier to get in if your butt is close to the wall like this, and then you rotate up. Now, if you are super tight, you're going to be up to maybe a foot away from the wall with your legs straight. If you are more flexible, try scooting up, and this is where the getting closer to the wall will help you. And the key to this one is wherever you are, butt away from the wall, you want your butt on the ground. If your butt is lifting, then you have to move further away. And also we want our feet pulling down. So if you can't, then you still want to move further away. So if you feel like you're too tight, tense, feet are pointing, then you would move yourself further back. Now, kneecaps, I really want those kneecaps forward. So if knees want to go out, we don't want that. We almost want a little bit of that pigeon-toed sensation here. You're pulling down with your feet, arms are out to the side, palms up, towel under your head. I did not say that so that you have it near, but this is the same concept. Only if your head is tipping back do you need that something under your head. We've got a whole lying like this. You do have a whole circulation thing happening, sort of the blood moving through the body. You're connecting the joints and sort of showing them how to line up well together. This sort of helps in evening our hips, opens up our chest and our upper back. So there's so much happening here. And we are going to be in this position for a few minutes, and then we will have completed the metabolic warm-up. So, and just thinking if I posted, other things that I posted this week were I've done some Facebook Lives lately, and there is one that was on aging and metabolism in general. It was a talk. Then there was one on posture and confidence and personality types. And again, Pete Egoscue, when he created the method, some of it's reflective of his conversation about personalities. And I did share about a study and what they saw about self-confidence
in that. So that's a short clip on Instagram. And then the last Facebook Live this week that I felt was really a great thing was about avoiding surgery, but also just making decisions. And I kind of covered hip replacements and shoulder surgeries and total knee replacements and bunions, and just choices about when is it sort of necessary to do surgery. Oh, and even spine and neck, back. So like, when do you really need to do surgery and when can you avoid it? And sort of the recovery process from what I've seen over my years of physical therapy. Okay, so hopefully with me upside down, you could hear all of that good stuff that I was sharing. Go ahead and stand up and let's just do a quick check-in. Okay, so let's check, how are we feeling? Number one, do you feel ready to move a little bit more? Hopefully so. If not, that's okay. If you're tired, you're tired. You have to respect where your body is at. Next, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to feel where your weight is in your feet. Do you feel more even? Does it feel the same? I definitely feel I have sort of even mine. I have a curve, a scoliotic curve a little bit. And so I do have a tendency. So whenever I line, it sort of brings me back into balance. And I love that feeling.